started the recording. Some of you have attended the last introductory program, but this introductory program is an extended one because I am talking about, the last introductory program, I introduced certain concepts, but I did not elaborate on it. In this program, I am going to be giving you a small elaboration of it so that you will understand how exactly it happens. Whereas in the main course, which is from 9th of April to 12th of April, I'm going to be discussing in full detail how and why things are the way they are, and a template of how to do it in your organization setup. Let's begin this with a story. The story begins in 1992 January. There was this young executive in Bombay who was around 34 years old. He was working in a fairly big organization, handling around 600 people from various levels in the management, in the field force, and multiple distribution centers and depots. And there was, during that time, a company in Bangalore. This company was a very big company. It had been there for over 25 years. They were leaders in contract manufacturing. They were manufacturing for giants like SmithKline Beecham, German Remedies, Geigy, and various other companies. And they were also into marketing. Even though they were number one in contract manufacturing for multinational companies, they are popular brands, they had failed miserably in their marketing. Even though they had the best of senior managers, the managers they had picked up from companies like Salabai Squibb, German Remedies, Hecht Marion Roussel, but still they could not succeed. When this company came to the notice of this young executive, this was the situation of the company. They had only 73 employees in the field, managers included. They were operating only in 3 states. They were operating in Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, and UP. They had total turnover of 6 lakhs per month. That means not even 10,000 rupees per man per month was the sales which they were conducting. And in the earlier year, that is the year ending 91 March, the loss they had made was 17,22,800 rupees as per the balance sheet. It was in a very bad shape. This young executive had a neighbor who was from Geigy, who was the head of marketing. And that person, since he was very closely associated with the promoter of this company, he recommended this young executive to the company promoter. Now, this young executive was 34 years old, had no experience in marketing or brand management. He had only experience in Salesforce management. So the company was very hesitant. How will such a young boy come and take over when giants, the person who was leading the company at that time had retired as head of marketing of Salabai Squibb. That such, efficient, accomplished and experienced people had failed, what will this guy do? But still, since someone as senior as the head of marketing of Geigy was telling them, Siba Geigy, the person accepted, and they decided to meet. They met each other. It was not surprising that both of them had doubts. They met each other and they continued meeting each other for maybe over 4 or 5 months, but no decision could be taken on either side. But by that time, they had developed a good liking for each other. But this young executive was very skeptical. And why not? Tell me one thing. Just with this much of information, was there any way this young executive could understand what he had to do to bring the company out of the problem? Is it possible? Second thing is, this young executive was very well established in whatever he was doing. He was a very successful person. And here in front of him was a gigantic risk. One wrong step and his entire career would have been over. It was under those circumstances that at the end of around 4 months, the young executive decided that he will take a plunge and take a chance, because if he had succeeded, then there was nothing that he could not achieve in this life. Everyone knows that there are, anyone with a basic minimal experience knows that two things are very essential for consistent performance. What are those two things? One is reducing errors, and the second is enhancing performance. This is very easy to say, but how do you do this? Particularly when you know nothing about the history of the organization, the attitude and the characteristics of the people who work there. You don't know what are the mistakes the company is making, excepting that for 25 years, this company had failed consistently in marketing. Even though they had the best from the multinational pharma industry, heads coming and joining that company because money was not an issue for them. They were heavily loaded. It was at this juncture that after sufficient thinking, this young executive decided he will take a chance. He was a daredevil by nature. He decided, let him take a chance. One other advantage he had was that this person was a student of cognitive science. And he had a very strong faith that if you understand human evolution, human behavior, you can handle it. So he revisited whatever he knows about human behavior. Three elements that characterize life are: number one, people always lived in groups. Historically, if you see, from the time of evolution of human beings, they have always lived in groups. Number two, there is a social unit which always had a hierarchy. Mankind is hierarchy driven. This is the second aspect. And the third aspect is they live in a symbolic universe, and they are always trying to make sense of this universe. Why am I here? How did this happen? Why is this happening? These three elements are very characteristics to human being. And these are so ingrained in the mind of people right from the beginning that it is one of the genetic traits which is transferred from generation to generation. That is why we say, that mankind is a social animal. That is why one of the worst punishment you can give anyone is solitary confinement. You put him alone in the island, he will be finished. He needs people. And when there are people, there will always be competition. Because one always wants to be over the other. And they will always try to make meaning. Understanding this, he decided to translate it into what was happening in this company. What did he do? How does this translate into three principles? Number one, people need to get along with others. There is a strong sense of wanting to get along. If there is a company where people don't get along with each other, there is no sense of bonhomie, that company cannot perform. So if you keep people segregated in a company, it is bound to produce poor results. Number two, you have to give them a healthy atmosphere to compete. They need to get ahead of others, but then it has to be healthy. Unhealthy competition will bring down an organization's performance. And the third thing is they need to find meaning in whatever they are doing. The first three characteristics of human being translates into universal principles, both in family and in life and in professional life, as the need to get along, the need to get ahead of others, and the need to find meaning. So what this young person needed to do was, number one, create a sense of purpose and meaning for whatever was being done. Number two, create an atmosphere of competition. And number three was create a sense of affiliation. So how did he go about doing it? Creating a sense of purpose and meaning. Can any one of you tell me how he must have gone about doing that?
I think the organizational goals, setting the organizational goals and setting the right way to move to achieve that goals.
You're right. Involve them in target setting, linking their performance to the overall performance and objective of the company, and helping them to decide the targets themselves. Because please remember, it was a very small team. It is not a huge team. Even in a huge team, it can be done. That is precisely what, you know, nowadays, companies like Google and Intel, after Andy Grove's KPR over, okay, they have brought in key performance indices. That strategy he adopted in a very small way at that time. You know, I'm sure many of you have heard about this OKR KPI strategy of Andy Grove from Intel. How many of you have heard of it? That is what made Google what it is today. That is what has made Apple and Intel what it is today, the giants. Even Amazon practices that. It was introduced by Andy Grove when he was at the head of Intel. It is nothing but linking up the corporate performance with the individual's performance in a small way. Again, that was creating a sense of purpose and meaning for what the people are doing. Second, compete and outperform. How do you think this person introduced that? Through regular training and reversing the pyramid of reporting. What is reversing the pyramid of reporting? Normally, it is the boss who tells the subordinate where he is going to come, what he is going to do, when he is going to come. But what this gentleman did was, he used to have monthly meetings where the team would suggest to the manager where he should come to help them in which area and under what circumstances and situations. This meant that each individual had to assess his own capabilities and visualize the type of problem he is going to face in execution of his targets and responsibilities, and harness and harvest the support of his superiors. The training program, which was a regular conducted 3 to 6 months, every 3 to 6 months, ensured that they were honed well in their skills. And the third is by creating a public dashboard. The dashboard today, because of these digital advances, are very, very useful. But then even in those days, through mails, we used to send the information to the entire team as to their performance in terms of what are their call average, what are their per day booking, how much sales has been done, which territory has performed, how in which product. All this was made public to everyone so that there was a feeling of affiliation. There were a couple of other things which he used to do, which might look very ridiculous to you. This gentleman was a strong devotee of Ayyappa and used to go to Sabarimala regularly. Since 1984, he started taking his team members along with him to Sabarimala. That became a sort of a group hiking and adventure. All these things, built up a bonhomie. Outcome, fast forward to 1994. 1992, January, he joined. 1994, fast forward. The 73 had come down to 50 people. The number of states had gone up from 3 to 5. The sales from per month 6 lakhs had gone up to 50 lakhs. And the minus 17 lakhs had come up to 14 lakh 50,000 profits. Fast forward one more year to June 1995. The 50 had become 60. 60 remaining, the 5 states remaining the same. The turnover had gone up to 100 lakhs. The profitability had gone up to 43 lakhs. That means once and for all, the company had totally turned around. Let me show you through documents how this is done. This is a letter from Mr. C.P. Bothra, the managing partner of Camphor Labs, who had written to this executive. I've taken a portion of it and put it here. Please, dear Arun, please accept my hearty congratulations for having achieved sales turnover of 50 lakhs in the month of June 1994. And you can see that in 2.5 years span, from 6 lakhs to 50 lakhs in a short 2.5 years span, after solving all the problem and building a solid team. And that it was working as a thoroughly engaged team. The proof is 100% increase. That is July 5th, 1995, the 50 lakhs had gone up to 100 lakhs. Here you can see that young executive who was none other than me, receiving a memento from the managing partner. People think that something extraordinary and technical must be done with sophisticated tools to turn around a non-performing or stagnant company. It's not so. Most times, something as simple as having a clear vision of where you want to go and getting people to believe in themselves is all that is needed. And since these simple things about employee engagement are not known, is the reason that the survival rate of small business is so poor. You can see that in the very first year of a company opening, 20% is closed, only 80% survive. By the second year, 30% has closed. By the fifth year, 50% has closed. And by the 10th year, 70% of the companies have closed. That means a company which was opened, 10 companies are opened in 2014, only 3 are running today. And by the end of 30 years, my dear friend, only 5 companies will be there out of these 10. And of them, 4.5 would have stagnated. Most companies have stagnated. Viewed in this context, one can appreciate why failure rate of companies is so poor, because we don't know. See this video. Why did this person fall into that manhole and die? Because he did not know that that hole was there. It's as simple as that. Nothing technical about it. Plain ignorance was the reason why he was finished. And plain ignorance is the reason why even today, 85% of the employees are not engaged in their workplace. This is as per a Gallup poll which says 85% of all employees in the workplace are not engaged. They come to the office, go back without enjoying their work, without contributing anything to the organization. The organization fails, they fail. They are miserable. Life is very difficult. What is more, survey shows that annual decline because of employee engagement being poor is 2 percentage points since last year. In US alone, $350 billion are lost each year because of disengaged employees. And what is worse is globally, 46% of the workforce are looking for a job every day. That means even if you are employed, 1 out of 2 people are looking for a job. This is the sad state of affairs. Just imagine, friends, we have only one life. Is it necessary for us to spend this life in such a miserable condition, not being happy ourselves and not being of any use to others? When we are unhappy, our family is unhappy. When we can't perform, we don't earn well because our company doesn't prosper. And when we don't earn well, our family is deprived of a prosperous life. All this because of poor engagement, because people don't understand how to get engaged or how to create engagement in their people. If this is the sad part of employee engagement, there is a positive side to it. Let us see that also. The positive side is when you have engaged employees, there is an 18% increase in the productivity of the employee. 18% increase in productivity. 81% decrease in absenteeism. Sit back for a moment and think. How many of you look forward to putting a sick leave, taking a casual leave, taking an annual leave? How many of you are constantly calculating how much leave you have got? Do you realize there is a reduction of 41% turnover rate of people in an organization? 41%. Accidents are much less. Fewer accidents are there because people are engrossed in their work. They are focused in their work. And customer loyalty jumps by 10%. Your customer becomes 10% more loyal to you and your organization because you are engaged, because you are committed to your work. That is the power of employee engagement. Today, we realize this is the power, but this was not the case always. Before 1943, there were two industrial revolutions. The focus was purely on machines. The world was a huge seller's market. You sold as much as you could produce. Man did not feature in any of these. Post 1943, studies on motivation started with B.F. Skinner initiating it in 1938. As studies on motivation continued, it became to be called between 1943 to 1990 the period of discovery. It is believed that people at that time felt like being a blind man in a dark room searching for a black cat which had already escaped. One, the room is dark. Number two, you are blind. Number three, you are looking for a black cat and it is not there. You can well understand how confused people must have been because theories after theories after theories kept coming, each one finding out a new aspect of human behavior. It was the period of understanding the evolution of human behavior. Behavioral science was being born. Behavioral economics was being born. And people were understanding what human being really was, how complex a creature he was. This led to the period between 1991 and 2020, which came to be called the period of debates and discussion. Why debates and discussion? Because it was just when people were thinking that they understood everything about human motivation, they realized that they know nothing about human motivation. In 1991, William Kahn, a psychologist, put forward his theory of employee engagement. It was to take the world by the straw. It was a period of debates and discussion after that because the world was divided into two. A majority of those behavioral scientists who believed in motivation being the driver, and reports and research which suggested that motivation does not work. It is counterproductive. But still, man being what it is, he was clutching on to the last straw which was there in front of him. And then somewhere around 2014, Zinger came and established that what William Kahn was telling about employee engagement was absolutely right. As the world was understanding and trying to understand, the COVID hit. And once and for all settled the debate in favor of engagement. So, which is better? Motivation or engagement? Let's see. What is motivation? Everybody knows this picture. And everybody knows that there is something called a positive motivation. The carrot symbolizes the positive that you will get if you do something. The stick represents the negative, the punishment you will get for not doing what is expected. In other words, the motivation theorists divided motivation into two, positive and negative. You move towards positive when you run away from negative. That means you move towards rewards and run away from punishment. Then what is engagement? Engagement is this eternal picture. Who knows? Maybe this is where the idea of engagement came. What is engagement? To understand the difference between motivation and engagement, I will take you to an imaginary situation. Imagine that you are on a ship and the ship has caught fire. There is a lifeboat which can hold only 10 people. What will you do? Any sensible person will answer that he will elbow his way, if necessary, kill a few people, push others into the water, but somehow get onto the lifeboat. Why? Because the motivation to survive is so high that he will not tolerate failure. He will do anything in his capacity to get onto the boat. He is totally concerned with saving himself. This is what motivation is. Now let us give a small twist to the same situation. Just supposing, along with him, his son is also there in the ship. Now what he will do? Will anyone answer? Will he still try to save himself?
He'll ensure his son and he
Ensure
are
that the
saved.
son is getting escape.
He will ensure that his son first gets onto the boat before he himself gets onto the boat. That is the major difference between motivation and engagement. In the first one, when you are alone, you are willing to kill also to save yourself. That is motivation. In the second, you are willing to kill so that your son will get onto the boat. That is engagement. Let us see what is the subtle difference. Motivation is the employee's drive to succeed and do outstanding work to benefit him. When an employee does outstanding work to benefit him, that is motivation. Engagement is when the employee's voluntary emotional commitment is there towards the organization's success. That is engagement. To many who are conditioned to think in terms of motivation in the traditional way, all this might look like philosophizing, but the fact remains that many business owners and management, to their utter dismay and surprise, have found that motivation has a serious negative impact. Very, very serious negative impact. And they end up demotivating the employee. I will show you a picture. Tell me, what does this mean? What do you see here?
I think the complaints are not looked at.
What does this picture signify? That most companies, a policy of open door policy, they represent by opening complaint boxes. But over a period of time, what happens is people keep on putting complaints into the box, but no one attends to that. And this complaint box looks more like a shredder to the employee, ending up demotivating him. Like this, everything, in all probability, without exception, has been proved to be a demotivating factor. Yes, I know I'm making a very tall claim and I will have to substantiate it, and I will with it. But the fact remains that if it were not so, then what is the reason that 85% of the employees are disengaged? Why is there such a huge attrition rate in the market? Why do companies don't perform? Why is it that all the top companies today in the world are less than 30 years old? What is the reason? Let us see an example. You might be thinking that what I am telling is a hyperbole. Let me show you. An incident which happened in 2018 Diwali. The year is 2018. The festival is Diwali, which is supposed to be a very important festival when bonuses are given. A Surat diamond tycoon gave away 600 cars and fixed deposits to his employees. He invited the then Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji to come out and hand over the keys to the employees. It was going to be quite a Diwali for employees of Surat-based company Hari Krishna Group. At a recent event, the diamond firm reportedly gifted 600 cars to its employees. Not only cars, some employees also got fixed deposits as part of the company's loyalty bonus program. Do you know what followed this? Can any one of you guess? Within 6 months of this was in October 2026, 2018, a report came that Gujarat diamond industry was facing large-scale job issues, and the report came on May 15th, 2019. Within 6 months, what do you think had happened? How are these two things linked? What has this got to do with the power of demotivation of a motivating behavior? Yes, Mr. Ravichandran, can't hear you. You're muted, I think.
Yeah, I think so. This is Rajesh here.
Yeah.
Now, what would have happened is, I think the 600 employees who got motivated, the others would have got demotivated if there were more employees in that.
But why would an entire industry get into trouble? If it is, 600 employees, it should be restricted to that company, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then also, 600 employees is a big thing for a diamond industry. Yes, Mr. Goswami?
In my view, they might have thought they got so much gift, there are so much profit, why can't I also become entrepreneur and start something my own?
Okay, but how can an entire industry, you mean to tell me, overnight became diamond merchant?
Actually, other companies' employees thought that they are getting demotivated. They are not getting such gifts.
Beautiful, beautiful. Let me show you something. It's not at all surprising that this happened. It was a disaster waiting to happen, and study after study conducted by American psychologist John Stacey Adams, the report of which he submitted in 1963, had already predicted something like this will happen. Something like this is bound to happen. And that theory came to be known in behavioral science as Adams' equity theory. It's about the balance between the effort an employee puts into their work and the results they get in return. Include everything. Hard work, skill, bonuses, rewards, enthusiasm. In a nutshell, Adam says that an employee will always compare himself with others. Who does he compare with? Their experience within their current organization. You are being judgmental, but the employee knows what the truth is. Number two, the experience with their previous organization where they were working, if they were working in some other organization. Number three, others within the current organization and others within other organization. In other words, one particular motivating behavior of an employer has an impact in various directions. When these 600 cars and bonuses are given, those who received it started comparing themselves with their colleagues of their own organization. with how their earlier organizations behaved, with what is the benchmark of the industry, and the same thing happened with the entire industry employees, and there was a massive upheaval in 6 months. The entire industry, diamond industry in Surat, got destabilized. Adams' equity theory. My dear friends, this is just one of the theories. There are n number of theories which show you where things can go wrong. Let us see another one. Pharma industry is very famous for its compensation plans. And incentive is a very predominant, performance-related payment is very, very dominant in the pharma industry. You have fixed pay and you have variable incentive. And India is regarded to be one of the best incentive givers. But till today, no one has been able to understand why, when internationally, globally, the attrition rate is 10 to 12%. In India, it is as high as 25 to 30%. That means what happens? Every time you receive an incentive, you are trying to measure it with someone else and you are getting dissatisfied. What is supposed to satisfy you is dissatisfying you. Again, Adams' equity theory is working. Not only that, here there is another theory which is working, which is called B.F. Skinner's operant conditioning. Whereby focusing on what you don't want, you can't create what you want. You want engagement, but what are you focusing on? You are focusing on motivation. Let us go through a few more reports. Harvard Business School says that rewards do not create a lasting commitment. They merely and temporarily change what we do. When you reward someone, what you are effectively doing is bringing his focus onto that minuscule part of his work, which might not be relevant always. Punishment and rewards are actually two sides of the same coin. Both have a punitive effect because they are manipulative, and no one likes to be manipulated. These are all reports of scientific research. Punishment, be it a negative motivation, or reward, a positive motivation, both have only a punitive effect, and they are both manipulative in nature. In other words, when one person's high performance creates resentment in your team, research estimates that 30% of high performers feel a lack of engagement at work, and 25% expect to work somewhere else within the year. That means if you have a very high performer and you have rewarded him very high, 1 out of 4 is going to leave the job. Not only this, we have children in our house. Are we so blind as not to see what is happening? Whenever we bribe the child to do something positive, what is the outcome? Rewarding good behavior leads to bad behavior. Now, very soon, the child is going to blackmail you that if you don't give this, I'm not going to do that. This is called the Cobra effect. Perverse incentive. This is a story from the British period. The British colonial government was terrified by rising population of cobras in the city of Delhi. They offered a bounty. That is, for every cobra killed and brought to the government, they will pay something. They suddenly realized the number of cobras had grown. How? Because people started growing cobras, killing it, coming and giving it to them and collecting the money. This is not just that much. It doesn't stop there. Incentive programs, motivation programs foster unhealthy competition. What you are effectively doing is going against the basic grain of human nature. Program destroys teamwork, destroys affiliation, destroys a sense of belonging. It reinforces extrinsic rather than intrinsic motivation. You always look for something from the outside. And above all, it decreases overall motivation. So what is the solution? There has to be some solution. Motivation is a good place to begin, but a very bad place to end. You have to push the employee from motivation on to engagement. This is the only thing that is left out that you can do. Motivate a person, get him kick-started, then push him on to engagement. Very simple, isn't it? Huh? Do you like to know what will happen? Again, we will take the same example of marriage. We'll take the same example of marriage and see the flip side of that marriage. What is the flip side of marriage? To understand how to push from motivation to engagement, what will happen if you can't push from motivation to engagement in marriage? Tell me, my dear friends, what will happen?
Differences.
Huh?
Differences.
Differences. Who is that?
Rajesh.
Rajesh, you tend to play very defensive. What exactly will happen? What happens?
It will lead to divorce.
Now you are opening up. Now you are opening up. This is what happens. Almost half of marriages end in divorce worldwide. Yet most of the products of what people apparently want. Have you ever heard of someone getting married because someone had kept a knife through his throat? You don't. Therefore, it is essential to pay attention to what people want and what they need from their work. What do employees want from their work? What do they need? That will tell you how to push them from motivation to engagement. Should we see that? This is the clash. What you need against what you want. Now tell me, as in work, so in marriage, what do you need?
Safety.
Safety. So you get married for safety, is it?
You want
Why
to
you are
be...
unsafe with your parents?
No.
Commitment and accountability.
Oh, commitment and accountability. High funda stuff.
What, David?
What do you need? Come on, guys. Why are you getting married?
Partner. Your partner.
Huh?
With someone.
The
want to
first
extend
thing
your...
you need is
So
intimacy.
companionship.
extend your...
Intimacy.
Companionship.
Intimacy. Throw companionship in the dustbin. First thing that you require is intimacy. That's why you're getting married. First thing, what is wrong with companions all around you? You're not an island, but you still need intimacy. That is why you got married. That's why a man gets married to a woman. Next, what is the second? Now comes something which people said. Emotional, social, and financial security. Please, can we all have our audios muted, please? Yeah. Security. What is the third thing? Look into yourself. When you look into yourself what you want, if you tell me what you need, you will know. What do you need?
You want to extend your family, children.
Intimacy. Security.
The next generation
The third thing that you need very seriously in your marriage is to understand and be understood. Only then the relationship can move forward. These three are the most important thing, and all these three tally with the basic fundamentals of human nature, right from the period of when things have evolved. The sense of belonging, the sense of getting ahead, and the sense of understanding the purpose and meaning. But what do you want after you get this? What you want is independence and autonomy. You have your intimacy and you want independence. That means you want to have the cake and also eat it. Number two, you have security, but you want excitement and adventure. Because the same relationship tends to become boring after some time. The same secure relationship starts boring you. And you want to be understood and you want to understand, but you are busy only communicating in one direction. In other words, this is motivation and this is engagement. How do you push a person from here to here while retaining this is the secret of employee engagement. How do you do that? How do you ensure that he has his intimate movements, yet has the independence and autonomy? In other words, he follows the company rules, at the same time is independent and has his own autonomy of doing his work. There is something called job crafting, which was found. Then you have the security of the relationship, the job security, yet the excitement and adventure of innovation and doing things in your own way. Third thing is you understand and you are understood, yet you have the freedom and the psychological safety to communicate what you want and be heard. This is what is summed up by human behavior. Friends, the entire 4-day course is to help you understand the various theories of motivation, the theories of employee engagement, the framework by which you can drive employee engagement at the 3 different levels of the organization, at the foot soldier level, at the bottom of the ladder, at the body level of the middle management and the frontline management, and at the policy making level of the head. How do you drive it in alignment with the evolution of human behavior is what the 4-day course from 9th of April to 12th of April is. The course is from 9th of April to 12th of April, from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. on all these 3 days India time, 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. Zambia time, 7 to 9 p.m. Dubai time. The course will start with your understanding the fundamentals of human behavior and move on to B.F. Skinner's operant conditioning theory, which was propounded in 1938, which forms the foundation of human motivation. From there, we move on to George Holland's social exchange theory of 1958 to Herzberg's 2-factor theory of hygiene and motivation. Hygiene factors and motivation factors. And then we come to Adams' equity theory of 1963 and move on from there to Room's expectancy theory. All these are sound theories without understanding which it is very difficult for you to frame an employee engagement in your organization. You are liable to take decisions and put into place motivational strategies which can backfire and blow up on your face in a very bad way. And in most cases, it does. That brings us to the job demand and resource model theory I was talking about, job crafting of 2006. From there, we come to William Kahn's engagement theory of 1990, to Zinger's theory of 2009. And from there, we go on to A.O. and Hewitt's engagement model of 2014. Not only that, we also understand the 15 tactics for motivation, which highly successful organizations have put into place over the years. How they have ensured that it does not blow up on your face. What do you do? How can you ensure that you have a motivation strategy which does not backfire on you? And this, aligned with understanding the 18 reasons for employee disengagement in the workplace, it will bring you to the 7 drivers for engagement. There are 7 major drivers for engagement, which will ensure that you can keep your employee engaged. The first of these drivers is recognition. Recognizing that you are no more the boss of your world. The moment you get married, someone else has come into your life and your life is never going to be the same. You have an employee, you are no more the owner of the company. Recognition followed by empowerment. When 2 bulls are yoked to a cart, if both of them are not going to pull together, the cart will topple. In the same way, if the management and the labor are not going to be equally empowered and are not going to work in alignment with each other, the corporate cannot move forward meaningfully. Supportive feedback. Empowerment is all about supporting each other by giving adequate and meaningful feedback. The word feedback is a misnomer because feedback looks towards the past. That is not a direction you are going anymore. You can never go back in time. You can only move forward in time. So the ideal situation should be a supportive feed forward. How do you learn from the past to move forward into the future and perform in a better way is the supportive feedback. Then it is partnering. Hierarchy is about responsibilities and accountability. The concept of responsibility and accountability you will be understanding here. You are partners in the same venture, equally empowered, equally responsible, moving together. No one is above the other. Expectation. How to handle expectation? Life is dependent upon expectation. And employee engagement is all about the filling up the gap between the expectation and the experience. You will be provided with a tool called WPAIT tool, Workplace Attitude Index tool. The Workplace Attitude Index tool gives you a model to identify the gap between the expectation and the experience of the employee. The employee has a particular expectation from the organization and the workplace, and what is his experience, what is the gap, and how to fill it up. That is going to be a part of the course. That brings us to consideration. No individual is perfect. Consideration is required to be able to identify the strengths and the lacunas of individual and to be supportive. So how do you work with this, keeping in tune with the alignment? And none of these can work in the absence of trust. These 7 form what is called the respect model. R for recognition, E for empowerment, S for supportive feedback, P for partnering, E for expectation, C for consideration, T for trust. The impact of putting this model successfully in your organization or in your team is a 21% increase in profitability. Employee theft will reduce by 28%. Absenteeism by 41%, staff turnover by 59%. All these are documented through research and studies. What is it What is in it for the organization and for you as a manager or a person who is implementing it? For the company, when you put this into place, it means lower cost and higher profits. Your cost of operation will go down, your profits will skyrocket. For a manager, it will be lesser strain and greater output. You will be able to do more by taking on less strain. For the company, it will mean a happy employee, less attrition. For a manager, it will mean better team spirit, higher performance. For the company, it will mean better customer metrics. And for a manager, consistent and predictable performance. You will be able to predict what it is that you are going to achieve. You will be consistent because you will know your employees. You will be one with them. For the company, it means efficient execution, timely achievement. No gaps, no lacunas, no sudden failures. For a manager, no last-minute panic. Timely delivery. You will always stick to the time. For the company, it means stable growth and orientation. For the manager, it means better career prospects. And finally, for the company, it means higher brand equity, higher earning per share, and manager job satisfaction and long-term career security. This employee engagement program is not something new. It is running all over the place, all over the world. In the US, there are multiple academies and experts who are running it. It is a 3-day program in the US and the cost is around $1,000. That means 83,000 rupees. And the leader in it, the master in it is Dr. Paul Marciano. And it is his teaching and his program which is being brought to you by me from 9th to 12th of April, evening 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock India time, 5:30 to 7:30 Zambia time, evening 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Dubai time. It is not going to cost you 83,000 rupees. It is going to cost you just 10,000 rupees for 4 days, 2 hours per day. It will ensure a minimum 21% more profit for you in whatever you're doing in your company, or an increase in 21% more profit through your performance as a team. If you register within the next 15 minutes, you get a 25% discount and you will have to pay only 1,000 rupees now and 6,500 rupees on or before 7th of April. That is if you register within the next 15 minutes. After that, it will be 10,000 rupees. You can pay through Google Pay or you can pay through Phone Pay. You can take a screenshot of this and use the Google Pay account new Arun 9-1 at OK Access or Phone Pay 63629727704 at AXL. Pay 1,000 now and register for the course. The balance 6,500 you can pay by 7th of April. 9th to 12th of April is the course from 9 p.m. in the evening to 11 Indian time. For Africa, it is 5:30 to 7:30 in the evening. You can book your seat if you are from Africa by paying 2,500 Kocha for 4-day program. You can pay it to Airtel Money 0977848320, MTN Money in 0963201397, or Zamtel Money 0950671010 Gilbert Banda. Or you can deposit it in Zanaco account. The details are given. Please take a screenshot. In addition to the 4 days hands-on masterclass with me, you will be provided with the entire recording of the program. Not only that, you will be entitled for 4 hours of free consultation with me. You can take it as 1 hour per week or 4 hours at a time or 2 hours at a time or in split. Whichever way you want, you can take it. I will handhold you through the entire process and clarify all your doubts and assist you in implementing it in your organization. You will also receive the Workplace Attitude Index tool which will help you measure the attitude of your employee, department-wise or individually, the gap between expectation and experience. What does he expect and what is he really experiencing, due to which the engagement is high, medium, or low. You can collect that information through the tool, prepare the strategy to overcome the problems, and use the tool in an effective manner so that you can enhance individual employees' engagement level. You will also get a certificate certifying that you have completed successfully the program. This can be a big advantage to you because whenever you are going to be changing your job and going to a new place, new interview, this certificate, among the various testimonials that you present, will open the eyes of your employers that they have got an employee who understands the meaning of being engaged and who is capable of creating engagement within his team and brings that much more extra capability. Now, friends, I had told you that by the end of the program, I am going to give you a template which will help you know how engaged or how disengaged you are at work. We all have what is called an inner talk within us based upon the situation, based upon who we are facing, based upon the type of condition in which we find ourselves, based upon what is disturbing or annoying us or exciting us. There is an internal talk. Based upon this talk, you can identify what exactly is happening to you vis-a-vis the situation. The biggest question is, are you engaged or disengaged at work? What I want you all to do is write your WhatsApp number in the chat box so that I can send you the template in your personal chat window. I will detail it here. I will explain it here, but I will also send the template to all those of you who have not received the template last time. I will send it this time. Those who have received it last time need not write their number because it will be a waste of, two templates. Both the templates are the same. So let us see what is the chat. The first is when the internal talk is, I am here for the money. I am leaving when I can. I am not satisfied with the job. My work doesn't excite me. What is the time now? When will it be time to go home? When these are what? Can you please mute yourself? There is noise here, Mr. Ramaswamy. Thank you. When these internal dialogues are happening, you are disengaged. Please note the time of the day when this sort of an inner talk is happening, or the situation in which the inner talk is happening, or in front of the person whom this inner talk is happening. That person is disturbing you. You are not vibing well with that person. The situation is disturbing you. You're not happy and comfortable. Or it is that part of that day when you are stressed and you don't feel comfortable and you are disengaged. Think what you can do. Because remember one thing, be disengaged is a very dangerous thing for you as a career person. It might harm the company, but it is also going to harm you. Please understand that. You've got only one life, and in that life, you need to be totally engaged in whatever you are doing so that you can give off your best and benefit from the situation around you. This inner talk says you are disengaged. The second inner talk is when you are not engaged. You're not exactly disengaged, but you are not engaged. You keep a track of how much sick leave, paid leave that is there and when you can use it. You keep telling yourself the working condition is very poor. You are constantly worried about your manager. You don't like your manager. You don't like your team. You don't want that job that much, but okay, you get along with it. You're not very particular. You just get along with that job. It is at this juncture that you're not engaged. When is it that you start thinking about how much leave you have to your credit? when you can take it? Who is the person who bugs you? What is that working condition which disturbs you? What is it that you can do? How you can strategize? Here is a place, condition where you're almost engaged. You feel you're part of something big. You're proud to work here, but okay, if you get a better offer, you will leave. You feel that career development prospects are not very high in this place. Under these conditions, you feel that you are almost engaged, but not fully engaged. The next is you are engaged. You feel you are a vital part of the business. You feel important at work, but you feel stressed. You are engaged, but you feel stressed. And there are times when you feel, should I, leave the company if I get a better chance? Something better comes along. Maybe there are moments in the day or once in a week or once in a month or under some sort of special circumstances. You feel like that. Under those conditions, you feel that, even though you're part of a very important, you're very important, you feel that you're contributing immensely, but you still feel that, if something comes along, you will leave. Please note which part this is happening. Because you need to nip this in the bud. You have to strategize to get out of it. Because you can be very highly engaged. You will be very highly engaged when you constantly ask yourself, what can I do for others? Remember one thing, employee engagement is commitment to the organization, an emotional commitment to the organization. The organization is a group of people, the people around you, the people you work with. When you are engaged, you don't think in terms of working for someone. You think in terms of working with someone. You feel you are an inspiration for others to do their best because you do your best. You love working here. You look forward to going to the office. Every day is a challenge. It gives you, it challenges you. You are your greatest competitor. No one else is your competitor. It is at that stage you're highly engaged. When is it that you feel like that? In front of whom do you feel like that? What part of the day, doing what, do you feel like that? And think how you can extend it to the full day. These and other things we will be discussing between 9th and 12th of April from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. India time, 5:30 to 7:30 Zambia, 7 to 9 Dubai time. You can register paying 1,000 rupees now and the balance 6,500. You can pay by 7th of this month and the program will start from 9th. Register paying 1,000 to get your 25% discount. Pay the balance by 7th of April. Thank you, friends. I'm open for question. Any question that you have, you can ask me. I'll only be very happy to answer you. Any questions? Now, all those who have registered in the last program as well as this program, we will be shifting you all to a group. A separate group will be formed. We will be shifting you all there. And all future communications will be provided in that group. You might receive the invite to join their group. Please join their group so that you will not miss out on any of the updates. The joining link for the 7th program will be, but the 9th program will be put in that group and also sent individually to all those members who have registered. How to engage inattentive students in a class is what Dr. Kasturibai has asked. Well, the same engagement principles will apply there also. The same engagement principles will apply there. If you understand human behavior evolution, Dr. Kasturibai, if you understand the various motivational and engagement principles, how they have evolved, if you understand the respect model, you can engage anyone. There's absolutely no problem in it. Any other question? How to engage from remote location? It is the same thing, Mr. Ravichandran. It's the same thing because the triggers are the same. Whether you are bang in front of the person or you are far away from the person, the triggers are the same. Because the triggers are not inside you, the engager. The triggers are inside the person who is getting engaged. Are you understanding what I am telling, Mr. Ravichandran?
I got it.
You are, see, the triggers are in that other person's mind.
I got it.
It is the same, absolutely, I am telling you. You see, each one of these motivation principles or operant conditioning or social engagement theory, all these are based upon certain triggers in the human mind. And they are all in the subconscious level and the reptilian level. Thank you, Mr. Das Sharma. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rajesh. Any other questions or can we close? So all those of you who want the template, kindly post your WhatsApp number in the chat box. I will send it to you. Okay. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
All
Good night.
from Africa, all those of you who want to join, kindly contact Mr. Gilbert Banda.